We're on the back side of this project. In fact, it's about 80% ready to be blown apart for painting and reassembly. Now, before we can do that, every piece of steel and every mounting hole needs to be done, like the tabs for the fire system. This entire Mustang was built for the NASA Outlaw class, following the SCCA guidelines for safety. From the chassis, the roll cage, the fuel system, even the weight of the car is regulated. So are the requirements for an onboard fire extinguisher system. You must have at least 2 nozzles, but we're going to put in 3. One in the engine compartment, one in the driver's area, and one in the fuel cell area. Everything will get a shot of halon. These bottles need to be mounted horizontally, and the gauge must be visible to the tech inspector on race day. Behind the passenger seat, we'll fill both of these requirements. Safecraft makes these kits for racing. NASA approved with steel tubing and aluminum nozzles. The cockpit nozzle should come behind the driver. Little plumbing needed here. A small tube bender will avoid kinks in the line. Drill into the chassis to mount them, but I won't drill into the roll cage. Even the smallest holes can weaken it. The nozzles are specific to their location. The engine compartment gets a high volume one, and another high volume one for the fuel cell location, while the cockpit nozzle puts out less than the others. And the cable release needs to be within reach of the driver. This system went in pretty quick for something that's so important. These systems are supposed to be used in an emergency only, and they're not designed to be tested. But the temptation's just too great.
Okay, hold it. Do not try this at home. Lou is a professionally trained idiot. ×4.
That bottle puts out over 200 PSI, and the blast with the 3 heads lasts almost 30 seconds. The cockpit gets less because too much halon can kill you. It eliminates the oxygen, starving the flame and saving your butt. Now, I don't know what it costs to refill one of those bottles, but it was worth every penny of it. Next on our agenda, flooring and seats. But we can't do anything till we get our exhaust run, because that could change all of our plans. We put the front together to make the radiator mount and fender bracing. So we're done with them for now. Our headers are going to have to be custom made. But in order to do that, we need to know exactly where our collectors are going to sit. We got ours from Hedman Hustler. And this oval 3-inch exhaust tubing we got from Dr. Gas. It's perfect for knocking the antennas off of those ants. Behind all that, a set of Flowmaster Outlaw race mufflers. They don't claim to be neighborhood friendly. Now I want to mount this a little bit higher than this. So this is one of the changes that we had talked about. We'll probably make a new cross member after the whole system is in, just in case. Since we angled the mufflers up, 3-inch tubing will finish it off. SCCA requires the exhaust to exit outside the car. Brent obviously has something in mind. I went ahead and installed my aluminum drive shaft from Denny's Drive Shaft Service. This will allow me to start doing my flooring and repair that cross member. Half an inch higher doesn't seem like much, but we went through a lot of trouble keeping the ground clearance at 4 inches, and that includes the exhaust. Brent doesn't say much, but his work screams at us. Why didn't Shelby think of this? We got a lot of rod to burn, but after the break, we're gonna mount a pump, we're gonna create a hump, and we're gonna measure my rump, so you may not wanna miss that. Aha! That comment about my rump really piqued your interest. You bunch of sickos. Our exhaust is all welded up and we're quite pleased with it. Now, custom headers are in the works. It all starts with these flanges from Hedman Hustler. These head ports are square, but these stubs turn it to round. Since my ride height is so low, my space is limited. So I'm going to take these first two tubes and run them down as far as I can and run them back. These second two will have a straighter shot to the collector because I'll have more room. At least that's the plan. A box load of U-bends will become your headers. I'm starting with 1 3/4 tubing, stepping up to 1 7/8, hence the name step headers. There's been several claims by reputable builders that this actually increases your torque. Hey, it's worth a shot. Everything is tacked up for now. We'll finish them up on the table later. No doubt this takes time, and it's a one-man job, so Brent's moving on. Since everything under the chassis is in, we can start the flooring. 22 gauge is standard, but we're using 18 because we can afford the weight. And yes, bead rolls do add strength. With the chassis pattern marked on the panel, we can drill some holes for the rosette welds that'll hold it in. Some weld-through primer will protect the raw metal. It takes some fine-tuning to set your welder low enough not to burn away the tin. Four hours later, and this side is finally pieced together. And as you can see by all the curves, it's never as easy as it looks. I marked them up very well so I can weld them up for good, one tube at a time. Ticking takes longer, but it leaves a cleaner finish. Even a race car can still look good. This is where I step them up in size. Since the exhaust flows from small to big, there's no turbulence created. And don't try this without the collector on it. Brent moved ahead on the flooring. With both sides done, it's time for that hump we talked about. Another template, some rolling, flanging, and patience. This section is permanent. Up here over the tranny, we'll make it removable for those fast transmission swaps at the track. We'll get to that later in the show, along with showing you how to measure and ordering a seat and where to place it. Now I've got a long way to go on these headers. You could have someone make them for you, but they're gonna need your car for at least a week. And not to mention, when you get it back, you're gonna be nailed with a $1,500 invoice, at least. I'll see you back in a bit.
This week's MuscleCar Flashback, the 68.5 Mercury Cougar.
One great pony car deserves another. At least that was the thinking in '64 when the first Mustang debuted. The first day on the showroom floor, over 21,000 found a new home. A year later, Ford dealers were grinning from ear to ear with over 400,000 sales of the popular new ponies. However, Lincoln Mercury dealers felt left out in the cold without a hit car of their own. Ford Motor Company listened, and in 1966, let the Mercury Cougar added a bag.
The cat is out of the bag.
Media kits complete with Cougar burgers and animal crackers were sent to media outlets around the country, announcing the release of Mercury's first pony car. A mix of European elegance and American muscle, the Cougar was meant to be a sports car packed with class. Earl Donegan's Cougar is just as classy as the day it rolled off the assembly line. This all-original, unrestored Merc has less than 20,000 original miles on it. Yeah, that's right. It's basically a brand new Cougar. It's not only fresh, but rare. A lot of you guys may remember the Mercury Cyclone CJ. It came standard with a nasty 428 Cobra jet. But this is a Cougar XR7, and the 428 Cobra jet was a mid-year option in '68 that only 66 buyers of this luxury model shelled out an extra $420. As a matter of fact, When broke down into paint scheme and interior options, this is a one-of-one car. And to top it all off, the XR7 badging was put on crooked at the factory. Needless to say, Earl isn't fixing it. But pushing 40, this car's in great condition.
The car drives like it's new. It has plenty of power, drives good on the highway. Cougars ride better than Mustangs do.
Mercury didn't skimp out on any details when they put these classics together. Toggle switches. Check out these stylish controls. Leather interior, stereo, courtesy lights all over, and a viewer-friendly console that makes the interior just as the ad said, a man's car. Check out this original gold paint, complete with pinstripes. The black satin markings and hood scoop are the only warning that one mean cobra's lurking under the hood. Hideaway front headlights and sequential turn signals out back light up this car real nice. Earl still has the factory wheels, and check out the detail. He still has the original spare holding down the trunk. The Cougar was meant to be a car for someone to purchase on their way up to a Thunderbird, but for the power, performance, and luxury, this was a steal at its $4,500 original sticker price. As you probably guessed, it's worth a little bit more than that now. For all you mathematicians out there, the appreciation on this Merc is right around 1,300%. But don't ask Earl for a price quote, because this beauty's his wife's car, and her 428 ain't for sale. If you ever pull up to a Cougar with a black satin stripe and scoop on the hood, consider yourself warned. This is one cat you won't want to fool around with. We're back. So far today, we installed a 3-headed Halon fire system, played with it, created the exhaust, and let Brett get funky. I haven't finished the headers yet because I wanted to play with these. Would you believe that my butt fits in here? And I'll prove it to you later after we get the tranny tunnel made. Remember, we want it to be removable. The main section will be 3 pieces, a flat top and 2 sides, leaving plenty of room to work the gas pedal. The passenger side is a little bit more confining. With some lightweight channels in place on both sides, we can check the fit and mark for the fasteners. Moroso sent us some of their quick fasteners. A few holes and some rivets is all it takes. While Brent finishes covering the tranny, it's time for me to measure my fanny. No doubt the best way to get custom racing seats that fit perfect is to have the maker measure you for them. That's what we did for these. Innovative safety products will literally form this seat to your portly physique. And what you'll end up with is an aluminum work of art. The whole point of this is to keep your body from moving around so your butt, your rib cage, and your shoulders don't take a pounding under all those G-forces. It also places the restraints at the right height so you don't compress your back. Now, if you can't fly across the country for a fitting, there's some measurements that you can send in instead. Your height, your width, your weight, and girth, not to mention some more detailed ones. ISP's website will show you how to do that. Sit on a flat surface with your feet dangling. Take 2 objects, put one on each side, snugly. That measurement's for your hips. Then, you raise your right arm up, measure from the seat to the middle of your armpit. That's your rib location. Now stay put and measure from your trapezius muscle down to the seat again, and that's for your shoulder harness. Next, stand with your arms out at about 30 degrees. Measure side to side about 1.5 inches below your armpits. That's for your upper back. Finally, with your back against the wall, measure from the edge of your chest back to the wall. That's for your man breast. Now, once you get your seats, where you put them in the car is very important. Our pedals can still go up and down or be repositioned forwards or backwards. Same with our steering column. But the one thing we can't move, the dash. Now you're gonna be strapped in this seat pretty tight, and you have to be able to reach all your controls from here. I don't wanna put it on my tranny tunnel because it's removable. I really don't wanna do the halo because there's gonna be a mirror there. So my best option is still my dash. But look at my feet. The engine is so far back, they're gonna be poking through the firewall. The plan? Extend a portion of the dash back for all the controls. So I'm moving the seat back just far enough so my wrist lays on the wheel. This way when I'm turning, I'm not reaching for it. Everything else is adjustable. This is where I need it to be. The seat has to be secured in 3 places. That way it won't move if you come to a sudden stop. First, we'll bolt it directly to the frame rails. Grade 5 bolts, of course. Then we'll make a bracket tying the front all the way across. Again, bolting it to the frame rails. There's a bracket that mounts to the roll cage that also holds the headrest. Its location depends on how high the Hans device is. But I need to be sitting there to do that, and that would give us our 3rd mounting point. The tranny tunnel takes care of the hump. The seat satisfies my rump. The fire system's cool and just fun to play with. We're just a few short shows away from this roller skate being done. Next week, we're cutting up the Le Mans. Till then, later.